our properties of exponents, and the first one we have is product of powers, which is a to the power of m and a to the power of n, and that is a to the power of m plus n.
Okay, and next we have the quotient of powers, which is a to m divided by a to n, which is am minus n, which in the end results in 1 over an minus m.
The next one we have is power of a product, which is ab in parentheses to the power of m, which will result in a to the power of m and b to the power of m.
And then our last one is power of a power, which is a to m in parentheses to n, which results in a to the m times n.
Yeah.
So this is the product of powers, and our problem is 7a times 2a. And our first step in the problem will be to write out all of the terms in the problem. So 7 times a times 2 times a. And then our next step will be to combine like terms. So then we'll have 14, because 7 times 2, and then a squared, because there's 2 a's in the problem. So for our second problem, we have 2x times 4y. And for our first step, we're going to write it out in, spread out the terms. So we'll have 2 times x times 4 times y. And then we're going to multiply the integers to get 8xy, because x and y can't be combined because they're two different variables. So our problem is r to the 7th over r to the 4th. And to start, we're going to write it out in expanded form, which would be r times r times r 7 times, and then over r 4 times, because it would be r times r times r times r. And then once we have that written out, then we're going to cancel out as many like terms as we can. So we can cancel out 4 r's from the top, and then all the r's from the bottom, so we're left with r to the 3rd. Okay, so to start this problem, we have a to the 6th over a squared. And what we're going to do is we're going to write it out in expanded form. And then cancel like terms. So we'll cancel out a and a twice, because that's as many like terms as we have. And then we'll be left with a to the 4th. Okay, so our original problem is CD in parentheses to the 4th on the outside of parentheses. And then we're going to write it out in expanded form, so there will be 4 sets of C and D, because when the exponent is on the outside of parentheses, it applies to everything on the inside. So now we have it in expanded form with 4 C's and 4 D's. And then now we'll combine terms into C to the 4th and D to the 4th, because there's 4 C's and 4 D's. Alright, so our original starting problem is 2xyz in parentheses to the 4th. And this is the power of a product. So we're going to have 2 times x times y times z 4 times. And then next we're going to multiply and combine like terms. So we're going to have 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2, which is 8, and then times 2 again, which is 16. And then we're going to combine the x's, and we have 4 x's, so it's going to be x to the 4th. And we also have 4 y's, so it's y to the 4th. And then lastly, we have 4 z's, so it's going to be z to the 4th. So our final answer is 16x to the 4th, y to the 4th, z to the 4th. Okay, so for our first problem for power of a product, we have m to the 4th in parentheses squared. So what we're going to do is write it out in expanded form, which will be 4 m's twice, so 8 m's. And then once we combine like terms, our final answer will be m to the 8th.
Okay, so this is checking an exponential equation. So first, what you're going to do is you're going to simplify this down, which I've already done, which I got 8x to the 8th, y to the 5th from our original equation, which was xy squared, and then in parentheses x squared y and that's also in parentheses, to the third. And then now to check my equation, I'm going to plug in these substitution values, which are these in the blue box, to check my equation. So I'm going to check both equations to compare them to make sure that they're correct, because I will end up with the same answer that I get for both with my substitution values if I did indeed simplify correctly. So first I'm going to do 1, come on pen, and then because x, my substitution value for x is 1, so 1 to the 8th, and then 2 to the 5th. And then so that is 1 times 2 to the 5th, and 2 to the 5th equals 32. So 1 times 32. So 32 in this case equals x to the 8th, y to the 5th. And then we will now see if we get the same answer coming from this problem. So we will have 1 times 2 squared for the first column, for the first bracket of parentheses, and then we'll have 1 squared times 2, and then to the third, so cubed. So then we'll have 2 squared times 1 squared is 1, and then so times 2 to the third, so we'll have 4 times 8, which equals 32. So we did indeed simplify this right, because 32 equals 32.